guys, Ron here, and considering both you and I love Eeveelutions, there is no reason to not make a part 2 for a video I released a couple months ago where I designed evolved forms for Eeveelutions. Even though Eeveelutions are already relatively powerful Pokemon, I evolved them one final time to complete the arcs we have seen Eevee go through. To those who have paid attention to the stats of the Eeveelutions, that means that all of the Fakemon I created in part 2 and I'm creating today are technically legendary, not only stat-wise but lore-wise as well. I want to expand on the existing lore of Eeveelutions and even give them additional types that haven't been incorporated into Eeveelutions. Basically, what if Eevee's unstable DNA kept on evolving? But remember, I'm not mega evolving Eeveelutions here. I'm not just adding a few extra traits to existing evolutions. These are new Pokemon that iterate and add to their previous stage. But considering some of you guys were a bit unsatisfied with how much I changed your beloved Eeveelutions in the previous episode, I'll tone it down a bit in this installment at least. And if you enjoyed this video, definitely subscribe, leave a like, and check out part 1 if you haven't. But if you want to evolve your online presence, today's sponsor Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform that'll help you build the ideal website that represents you as a person or brand. Whether you're a student, artist, or business owner, or our student business owner, securing your very own website is incredibly important for anybody's future. So in order to create a beautiful website, you'll need the tools that Squarespace offers. With its fluid engine, you can start designing with its best-in-class website templates and customize every detail with their easy drag-and-drop technology. Guys, can I get serious for a moment? Just try out Squarespace right now and literally witness how easy it is to build your own website with their platform. You have nothing to lose. I mean, most of you guys are going to be creating a website of your own at some point in your life. Whether it's to showcase your content by hosting videos, to post your entire art portfolio, sell your products, display all your social links, schedule social media posts, and way more. You'll find that Squarespace has a tool for virtually anything you need a website to do. They even have short tutorials online to demonstrate every single feature of theirs. So check out the description and go to squarespace.com/truegreen7 to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. It'll help this channel a great deal and will help build your future. Make sure to follow me on Twitter too, because soon I will be posting the website I made with Squarespace. And tweet at me whatever website you make with Squarespace. I would love to see it. Let's begin with Jolteon. As a child, it was my favorite evolution. It's sharp and fast, and that's the kind of Pokemon I like. Back in Gen 1, it felt like a cooler Pikachu. It was the embodiment of lightning, one of the least divisive evolution in my opinion, so I have to make sure the evolved form I want to make doesn't stray far from its original direction. Since we're giving it additional types that evolutions don't already have, and that I didn't give any of the evolved forms in my previous video, the 3 types that make sense are as follows. Flying, to give it a storm cloud aesthetic, Steel, to expand on the pins and needles that this Pokemon utilizes, and Bug for the actual type of the iconic pin missile it learns. But obviously, I don't want to turn this thing into Bug just because of a move, and giving it a cloud on its back would make it too much like Raikou, and would honestly not justify a flying type. So I'm gonna go ahead and exaggerate the needles on its body, make it far more dangerous looking, and justify a Steel type with its body becoming way sharper, tougher, and magnetic as a result of the electricity charging its body. We're beginning with the shape of a slightly bulkier and taller Jolteon. I want it to feel superior to the stature of its Prevo. It'll have a mane that points upwards, made of sharp needles, and ears with barbs in the multiple directions, and the shape of a lightning bolt, of course. Almost every big spike is just a combination of the tinier spikes that Jolteon already has. Its tail is just a streamlined and bigger version of Jolteon's. I want to make sure the spikes look like they have volume. It's looking like a more exaggerated Jolteon, so to make it a full-fledged evolved form, some completely different patterns were added, but also to make it look like a wild animal with intricate lightning patterns. It's pretty much as rare as a legendary Pokemon now. I thought some beard-like spikes on the chin made it look more mature compared to how edgy Jolteon is. Once I added the colors, I included a purplish black that complements the yellow. You'll notice that for pretty much all the evolutions we're designing today, I want to incorporate some Eevee attributes, like its fluffy mane and tail. 2 of Eevee's defining features that kinda get lost with some of the evolutions like Espeon. That's why in the final version, I'm giving this Jolteon evolution a far bigger tail. Behold, Jolteus, the piercing Pokemon, an electric steel type with the abilities Iron Barb and Lightning Rod. Jolteus evolved from Jolteon when they're able to harness both negative and positive ions. Jolteus are in tune with the world's electromagnetic field, allowing them to magnetize their body and generate a barrier that solidifies their spikes and repels attacks. Their spines are so tough they never bend, allowing Jolteus to pierce steel with their pins. They are way calmer than Jolteon and will rarely attack since not much can hurt Jolteus. They lead a group of Jolteon, teaching them to be less erratic. Their shiny is a far more electric version of Jolteon's green shiny. Jolteon was already a pretty straightforward Pokemon, so there isn't much to say about Jolteus since I simply expanded upon Jolteon visually and thematically. It's Jolteon, but more of what I already liked about it. One of my personal favorite art I've drawn. Funnily enough, Glaceon was a Steel-type contender for also having the ability to turn its fur into sharp needles. Its ability to create diamond dust could be a hint for the rock type, but diamond dust is just ice. It's not actual diamonds, obviously. I think the only other type that makes total sense to incorporate into Glaceon's Evo would be flying. It has mastery over the atmosphere and its temperature. What if, once again, I interpret the flying type as the wind and air type and make a Pokemon that has dominion over the atmosphere? I mean, the sky is pretty cold. I want to infuse some Snow Queen attributes, but again, since Eeveelutions are known to be very natural looking, I don't want to add too many anthropomorphic elements or clothes. I'll make sure its winter coat looks regal, yet completely appropriate for a wild animal. So I'm making a fairly longer Glaceon and leaning into its snow rabbit aesthetic. I elongated its ice hair to look like a crown and gave it long wing-like ears. I know I want to include a mane like Eevee's that looks like a scarf wrapped around its neck that is also in the shape of a hurricane, and originally the idea was to give it fur that looks like a cyclone that either came out of the neck or tail, because I wanted this thing to look like a living tornado, but it became a little too messy. So instead of a tornado motif, I went for a wispy cloud and wind aesthetic, with a more flowing ear that also combines with the tassels that hang from Glaceon's bangs. More ice crystals to convey a much fancier crown. I experimented with a tornado tail since I couldn't let go of the spiral motif, and even tried to incorporate fur on its thigh that looks like the dress of an ice queen, but at this point it looks over-designed, which is not a thing you want with Eeveelutions, or evolved forms of Eeveelutions. So I strove to streamline everything by making the ears look more aerodynamic, and solid. A simple body, and after attempting some twister tails one last time, I finally drew a cape that connected to the scarf, making it look like a queen, and included Glaceon's patterns with an inversion of its existing patterns to look more like the gloves that nobility would wear. The colors are far from surprising. Keep in mind that the crown isn't pure ice, that's why it's insanely blue. It's hard fur covered in ice. Check out Glaceus, the Arctic Wind Pokemon, an ice flying type with the abilities Wind Rider and Ice Body. Glaceus evolves from Glaceon, who managed to survive and thrive in the highest mountains on the planet. From such altitudes, they command the wind. Their control of atmospheric temperatures allows them to not only change their own body temperature, but the weather of an entire mountain range. The snowstorms that they create often traps travelers and adventurers. Glaceus is incredibly territorial and stingy. Only one person in history has managed to acquire a tuft of Glaceus's luxurious fur. It blows away any challenger, as it does not deem any foe formidable. Its body is covered in a hard layer of ice, which shatters on impact in order to dampen any blow. It instantly creates a new layer of ice to protect it before a following attack lands. Glaceus can fly by summoning a gust that carries it. Its shiny is a regal purple, much more interesting than Glaceon's shiny. I can't praise this design enough. It looks official, if I do say so myself at least. It's very dynamic. It doesn't look stiff or flat. I'll analyze it for many weeks to come in order to understand why it looks better than many of my other Fakemon. It may honestly be because it's derivative of an existing Pokemon who already has a very amazing design, so I can't take the credit. Did you know that Vaporeon is my favorite Eeveelution? I have receipts that I actually loved it years before a certain 4chan post in 2018. I simply think it has the best design in the family, but since the last two were fairly faithful to their prevos and didn't change anything drastically, how about we do something a bit differently with Vaporeon? It's technically the least mammalian of all Eeveelutions. It becomes almost sea serpent-like, like a mermaid. So let's complete the evolution and turn it into an entire dragon. It'll be a long Vaporeon, pun intended. Take far more inspiration from Eastern dragons, and since the body type will be the most drastic change, I won't really add or take away too much compared to the previous ones. Starting by drawing a serpent with Vaporeon's tail, the legs are going to be a bit more draconic, but the limbs are still inspired by Vaporeon's. The face is simply Vaporeon with a longer snout to make it more reptilian. The head fin is bigger, while the ear fins are relatively smaller. I added a fish whisker on the head like an antenna, again very Asian dragon. Instead of Vaporeon's fish mane, I'm giving it some Eastern dragon fur to go with the whole theme and to call back to Eevee, changing the proportions a bit so it looks more friendly, finishing touches before finding it a bit tough to render the colors. You see, original Vaporeon has the dark blue head with a light blue face and body, but now that there is no segment to separate the face and head, I have to decide to make it dark blue or light blue. Instead, I decided that as an important Pokemon, I'm allowed to add a gradient from dark blue to light blue. I toned it down a bit before making it a bit shorter since it looked too different from the other Eeveelution evolutions. I personally think the proportions work way more now, considering its tail is long enough. Here is Vaporeus, the oceanic Pokemon, a water dragon type, with the abilities Marvel Scale and Water Absorb. Vaporeon evolves into Vaporeus when it manages to swim to the absolute depths of the ocean. Its body melts and reassembles countless times, becoming longer and denser to withstand the pressure. Vaporeon can not only become liquid, but it can travel through the water particles in the air, allowing it to reach the clouds. The process of evolution has lengthened its lifespan. While not many Vaporeon can be found, the ones that are seem to be wise and experienced. Even Vaporeon, who have lived for thousands of years, do not lose their playfulness and friendliness. Legends state that their scales heal illnesses, but will dissolve into water in the hands of evil men. Their shiny is gorgeous. Shiny Vaporeon was already pinkish purple, but this shiny is the ultimate magenta. I love the color. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Vaporeon, so elongating it and making it stand up doesn't change my love. But I don't know if I played into the meme or not. You decide. And that finally leaves Espeon to combine with either the bug, normal, or rock type. I think I'm going to take this single Eeveelution with a literal gem on its head and turn it into a psychic rock type. What if there were just way more gems on it, making it look like a pure sun god with a body that was petrified from meditation or something? I do want to make sure it expands on the fact that this is the sun Pokemon, so let's see how I pull it off. What are you going to do, future Ron? I bet something genius and impressive. Hi, past Ron, it's actually not that impressive. I'm just beginning with a much less delicate body than Espeon has. Like, this will end up looking like Espeon, but trust me, the body is way bulkier. Literally Espeon's face, but with more jagged and sharp marble features and a much larger gem. Originally, I was going to give it rocks jutting out of various parts of its body, like its back, but again, this family has to look natural and uniform. I originally added a pattern around the head gem to make it look like a third eye, but that made it too on the nose. The gem is already a subtle nod to a third eye, so I don't have to make it obvious. The tail is the same, since more than two tails would look chaotic and would have nothing to do with the concept. A rock collar with smooth gems and more definition to the rest of the body, before opting to go with a way bigger forehead gem that alludes to the sun. That's why skinnier gems will surround it to look like the sun's rays. I'm adding wavy spots for the psychic type, and to make it look more like marble, it's a clean rock type, almost representing a sacred temple. That's partially why it's white, also to showcase the theme of light that this Pokemon has, so a brighter version of Espeon's color palette makes sense. Behold, Espeon, the solar Pokemon, a psychic rock type with the abilities Clear Body and Magic Bounce. When Espeon stands still for months on end, absorbing the sun's energy, they petrify and turn into Espeon. Its hair is now smooth to the touch. Its body is made of the most precious marble. The orbs that protrude from its body release a beam of energy in any direction. Espeon lacks a blind spot. It is impossible to sneak up on Espeon. It is believed that each gem functions like an eye, able to sense beyond the limits of our world. So Espeon stands still, like a statue, witnessing dimensions that we cannot comprehend. Espeon do not emote and rarely react to those around them. The shiny is a much less obnoxious version of Espeon's shiny. This design is odd though, because it both changed the most and the least. Please let me know which was your favorite, and check out part 1 if you haven't. Leave a like and subscribe for more, and check the description for the music I used, the t-shirts I made for you guys, and my Patreon where you can get cool rewards like seeing my videos days early. You can also get discounts on my merch and much more that you can also receive by pressing the join button and becoming a member on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter where I post sneak peeks of my designs and final art too. I'll see you guys very soon. Bye!